Hi everyone and welcome back. Welcome to this playlist where we are talking about SvelteKit, everything about SvelteKit. Okay, so in the last couple of videos we talked about the load function, the server-side data loading, but we forgot to talk about one on-mount lifecycle hook which we can still use in SvelteKit for doing a client-side data fetching. I mean, there are many ways to fetch the data. You can create a pluspage.ts, pluspage.server.ts, or you can do everything inside just a Svelte component, because we will be using the Svelte component lifecycle hook on mount to fetch the data at the client side, purely client side. Okay, so how we do it? So I created a photos as a photos route. Okay, so in photos route we are going to write our own mount lifecycle method. How to do it? We just do import on mount from, and sometimes typo, from Svelte, and this is how we'll get on mount is a lifecycle method like om destroy and all. And here let's say we have photos as an empty array, we initialized it, and then on mount, which will accept a async callback, and inside this we can make we can do some stuff which we wanted to execute at the client side. It may be an external API call, response, let's say await, and we already have a fetch at the client side. We don't need to get it from the same as the load function. We don't need to get it from there, and we can just use the placeholder APIs, or you might have your own APIs like this API posts. I was just using this album API const okay, I will reassign the photos with await response.json. We just deserialize this, and we got the photos. Right now we can just put a div class photos or whatever, and inside this, because we got the photos array, we can write a if for each photos as photo, and we can access the photo object. Here we can do, if let's say the photos are not available, the API call is still being in progress, we can just show some kind of a loading, and this is the closure of for each. Okay, this looks fine, and here we can just simply, I'm not good at building UI, just showing the demos for examples. Here we can do photo dot title, let's say. So what actually we are doing here, we are doing client side data fetching. We are using on mount as a lifecycle hook of the Svelte.js, because we are using Svelte.js in SvelteKit. We are not using the SvelteKit load functions at the server side or the client side, and this is a component which is not getting the exported load function with data. You can still create here page.ts, write the load function, fetch the data there, and pass it to here. Let's say if I write a page.ts, then same code you can write using server side. What I need to do is we can just use the existing methods, let's say layout server.ts or page.ts. Here we are in the photos, so page.ts will use the same API. Okay, no, I was in photos. This is page.svelte, and I'm in the page.ts. I will change this to that, and this is the post, so I can access it using data.posts. Right, let's see how it is running first, and then we will see the next part. Okay, it should be able to give me the photos, and it's all happening at the client side. You can see when you are hitting reload, it's making an API call using fetch at the client side, and there is a light loading state will also, you will see loading, and then the content is getting rendered. It's all client side because we are using this on mount hook. Same thing we are doing here is we are actually making this API call, but this is the load function, which is client side and server side both. Okay, it's not plus page.server.ts. If I make it plus page.server.ts, then this exported load function with this data will be available once this load function has completed the execution. So it will further. So these are the two different ways to load the data. I mean, you can use the load function in SvelteKit, which is server side and client side both. Like if you are writing code in the page.ts and the load function, if you are writing the load function in the page.server.ts, layout.server.ts, that runs on the server. And if you want to just fetch the data in the component totally client side, then you can just use on mount lifecycle hook, which actually triggers at the client side. So this component will be rendered from the server side, and then this lifecycle hook gets initiated when the component renders on the browser. So the server side task is done. Now the client will execute this on mount lifecycle hook and make XSR request and get the data, and the data will be published here. So these are the couple of ways in which SvelteKit is allowing you to fetch the data. And I'm only talking about the latest version of SvelteKit, where we have the load functions and these new file extensions, like we are writing server.ts, page server.ts, page.ts, layout.ts, layout server.ts in the different directories based on the dynamic routing. Okay, that's all. In the next video, let's build a couple of more applications.